right, let's get started. Hello, good people. I am so sorry we're late, but my husband decided to come home late and he didn't tell me, and I was working so hard, diligently doing my homework. And so I did not know the time. Come over, babe.
They can see me.
Oh, come over.
They can see me.
And so, this man. That's what. So the topic of today is forgiveness in a marriage. How many of you guys know you need to be able to forgive in any relationship? But the most important relationship you have to learn to forgive in is in a marriage. What you think?
Maybe.
And because, what do you think for real?
About what?
About forgiveness in a marriage. Why is it important?
I think it's important.
Why? I didn't say, do you think it? I said, why is it important?
I know it's important.
I'm about to play with you today. So why is forgiveness in a marriage important?
Because it brings about healing. It brings about
My hair nappy.
covering those wounds that was once created by a certain event that may have caused you to hold a grudge against that person or cause strife in a relationship or a marriage. So, yeah, forgiveness is important in a marriage, whether you guys agree with that or not. But if you don't forgive someone, it's hard to move on from that point. It's hard to start something new. It's hard to move from that point and say, hey, let's do this thing and let's really get into this thing and find an understanding of how that came about. So forgiveness is very important.
And I think for the most part, most of the people that I see, not even just in marriage, but most of the people I see through counseling or mental health or behavioral health or whatever capacity that I see them in, they come with some deep wounds. And I mean deep wounds that need some inner healing. And most of the things they're dealing with, it resonated from unforgiveness. Because they were willing to not forgive somebody for something that they done to them. I mean, and when I'm talking about some things that came from that is anger, bitterness, resentment. It's so many dangerous things that come with that. And I was reading, and I tell people this all the time, I was reading something the other day that says that some of our medical conditions stem from, now this is research, and I'm not a researcher, and I don't do any research studies, or I have before for my statistic classes, but research has shown that some of the things that we deal with, well, not me, with my medical condition, is unforgiveness. And when you allow unforgiveness to take root in any relationship, babe, why you have that on like that?
Man, talk.
But God, I hear it.
Oh, you got some good hearing then.
Yeah, it's going to aggravate me. So anytime... anytime you let unforgiveness take root, and it takes root, and then from that root that has been planted, that seed that has been planted, it grows. And so what you get from that is things that you don't want to have. And so in a relationship, let's talk about a relationship. Infidelity, for instance. So you have infidelity. The person that you did it with, you cheated with somebody. You didn't think about the aftermath of how your spouse is going to feel. And even though your spouse said, I love you, and they may have stayed with you, the problem is they might not ever forgive you. And so then they start being angry towards you because they can't get past their hurt. Or maybe they start being bitter. So when you talk to them, they start cutting your throat or saying, you know what? I don't want to talk to you right now, or they cussing you out, or maybe they have those actions. But then you have some resentment, or maybe they have deceived the other person. You might be in the same city and stay with that person. And so forgiveness in a marriage, it's okay to forgive in a marriage, but you got to know the proper way to forgive. You want to add anything?
Well, just speaking of forgiveness in general, it don't even have to be in the marriage or relationship. It can be towards a certain individual that may have crossed you a long time ago. But that person don't even know that they made you mad, but you have been holding on to a grudge for so long with that person that they have held power over you because you haven't forgiven them for something that they don't even know they made you wrong with. Take, for example, Jennifer stole my oatmeal cookies. I forgave her for that. She stole my drink. Forgave her for that. But what I didn't forgive her is that she didn't go back and get me no more. But anyways, on the real. Check it out. You guys have to forgive an individual. Don't give the enemy power or leverage to hold over you because you are still holding on to something that no one really knows that you're mad about. And
right.
So you're still holding on to it. And like I said, it could be someone that offended you 6-7 years ago, and you're still holding on to a grudge. They're moving on with their life, but you are still holding on to unforgiveness because you're thinking, hey, that person should have apologized to me by now. But that person don't even know why you're mad. That person don't even know what they did to you in the first place. So the forgiveness is not for you. It's for that. I mean, it's not for that person. It's for you.
Yes.
So don't hold on to something that you think would benefit you when you know evidently it's not going to benefit you because you are in your feelings and you want to hold on to it like you have it's gaining interest or something. It's not gaining interest in a positive way.
I wish it was.
It's only a negative aspect if you look at it.
Yes.
From a different perspective. So don't hold on to something negative that someone did to you a long time ago or something that your spouse or your significant other may have done to you. I mean, Jennifer say stuff to me all the time that put me in my feelings, but I don't hold it against her except for those oatmeal cookies. I love oatmeal cookies. But anyways.
And you know what's so crazy is, while we're talking about this, I tell people all the time, sometimes we allow other people to put us in bondage. I would not allow nobody else's actions to put me in bondage. And so when we talk about forgiveness, it's some deeper wounds that happens in a relationship. You know, he said something similar about oatmeal cookies and a soda, but he don't remember when I was drinking Pepsi a couple weeks ago, and before I stopped, he stole my Pepsi. And the only reason I knew he stole it is because he said it. I forgave him. Did he get me another one? No, but that's the little simple stuff. But what I'm saying is it's some deeper wounds into forgiveness. What about a husband that come home and he emotionally abused you? What about physical abuse? We're talking about forgiveness, some deep things. And I know we said some simple, but I'm talking about what about those deep things? You have to understand that when we're talking about forgiveness and you decide to stay in a marriage, then you're going to have to give that to God because nobody else can heal those deep wounds and nobody else sees those deep wounds. Your spouse might even not see them deep wounds, but God sees and knows all. And so when you're dealing with unforgiveness and you're allowing that person, like he said, to have power and control over you, is it really worth, because the Bible says if you can't forgive your brethren, then God, he won't forgive you. You think I'm gonna mess around and miss some blessings or some prayer because I won't forgive my husband? And I'm gonna give you a real life example. About a week ago, my husband had me 38 hot. I was hot. I was mad, but I was at peace with it because I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let the enemy destroy that. And it took me a whole day to go and say, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do? And God reminded me that about 2 or 3 days. I ain't not going to lie. But I became the bigger person because guess what the Lord brought to me? He said, the longer you stay in quarrel with your husband, and it was over something silly, stupid, whatever. But the thing is, he was like, as long as you stay in quarrel with your husband, your prayers are hindered. I said, ooh.
But you know what's the funny thing about what she just said? Is that same day that the Lord revealed that to her, I also was reading it at work, and I called her and said, hey, we reconciled what we was arguing over, fighting over in the first place. And it was so funny that we both said the same thing.
Not in the camera.
We both said the same thing as to what was taking place.
Right.
I mean, we caught it in the spirit, and it's funny how God connect our spirits, or we became one at that moment to understand we had to demolish that thing before it was built up, or it was built up so high that we couldn't break it down or we couldn't see one another because we built a wall in between us. So it was important for us to gain the understanding and see what the enemy was trying to do. I mean, because once Jennifer hold a grudge, y'all, she hold a grudge.
And I can. And I thank God for deliverance in those areas because I do know how to hold a grudge. And I could be in a house or an environment around you and not talk to you. But because this is my husband and because I love him and because I know his action didn't need to result in anything worse than, okay, a couple of days me trying to cool down. And I didn't take those couple of days, because I was just, and I took those couple of days because I didn't know what was going to come out my mouth. And because let no corrupt communication come out of your mouth, unless you're going to edify something, unless you're going to build something, unless you're going to plant something, then let nothing come out of your mouth that's going to destroy your marriage. I'll never tell my husband I'm ready to separate. I'll never tell my husband stupid stuff like I want a divorce. I know I don't speak those things off up in my marriage, because when you speak it, the life and death is in the power of power of life and death is in the tongue. And so I'm not going to speak anything that's going to knock my marriage down. No, I'm going to confess. And so what did I do? So let's talk about that. So me and him both, we had to repent. We had to turn away from that thing, and we had to have a change of heart. Okay, we both made a mistake. I had to say, God, I was wrong for what I did, and I know I was wrong in the way I reacted to him. So Lord, I'm going to repent. And I asked you for forgiveness because I was wrong. And so he did the same thing. And then later on that night, what did we do? We came together as one, and we prayed for one another. And we prayed together. And we said, we don't want the devil to come into our marriage, because if you give him an inch, he'll take a yard. Or if you give him a foot, he'll take a yard. He just needs that door or that access into your lives. And I would not allow unforgiveness to take root. And all that other stuff that come with unforgiveness. No, I'm going to give you an example of what that look like when people are angry, bitter, resentment. You know them old people that you go to their house, or they come to your clinic, or, you're a nurse or something, and you see that old person, and every time you see them, they face like this. Or every time you see that person, they always got something nasty and negative to say. You be like, God, dog, all I said was good morning. They be like, ain't no good morning. That's what unforgiveness will do for you. Am I lying?
No.
That's what unforgiveness will do for you. And so I would never want to be in a place where I can't say, God, forgive me because I have sinned, and then allowing my blessings to, I don't want to mess up on nothing. I'm not putting myself in bondage. I'm not allowing him to have control over my life. And that's just it. That's simple. I don't know what else y'all want to talk about. Any suggestions, any questions? Because we're not going to be on here long, y'all. I'm cooking. I'm doing homework, and I thought this was simple. Any questions of anybody about forgiveness in a relationship or forgiveness in marriage? You got something?
Just a quick thing. I think she said something important when she said something about how you respond to the situation. God is looking at how you respond to every situation in your life, whether it's negative or positive. The way you respond to an event is very important. Mm-hmm. Sometimes your blessings are in the way you respond. So you got to be careful how you respond to an individual or event, and then just know that people around you may be looking at how you're responding to that situation. Because some people are looking for you to find God, and if they can't find God just by some sort of things you're doing, hey, that person, now you just have thrown that person off track. Now that person is dangling in the wind. So you got to be careful. You have to be aware of your surroundings so people can see how you respond to certain situations. Even the enemy is paying attention to how you respond to a situation. Mm-hmm. If he see you responding negative to a situation, he'll take that the next time and use it against you, whether you believe it or not, because he know how to tick you off now. He know how to put you in a place to where you won't forgive that person or that individual. So you have to pay attention to those things. Every small thing plays a big part in the overall picture. So you have to pay attention. You have to keep in mind, hey, how I respond to this thing could be critical to how my future will end, or how this person will respond to a certain situation. So keep that in mind next time you get into a heated argument or a heated discussion with someone, and then you get in your feelings, and then you're holding on to unforgiveness, all because of misunderstanding from the get-go. So pay attention to those small things.
And then, so I know we talked about a situation and how you can open your heart up to, how you can open yourself up, your heart up to forgive. And so to give you instructions on that, that's something that you have to know your relationship with God. If you don't know where your relationship with God, I ask you to go back and examine your heart. So if you have an incident that takes place, and like I said, it's some simple incidents that your husband or your significant other are having a little, a little quarrel, you having a little dispute or whatever. That's simple. Hey, God, forgive me, I'm wrong. And tell your husband, hey, I messed up. Or maybe you didn't. Sometimes that pride will mess you up too. You know, sometimes I might didn't do nothing. And I know I didn't do nothing. But sometimes I'm going to say, babe, you know what? I'm going to look at it from your perspective. Because maybe I did say something that wasn't right. Maybe I said something that didn't, make sense or something, and I overreacted. So sometimes you got to cut that pride out the door too and say, I messed up. What can I do to be better? Or what can I say, different? So I would say when you have big quarrels, or when you have big things that's going on, infidelity, domestic violence, emotional abuse, what you said, physical abuse, what else?
Cookies.
What's cookies? I ain't nobody fooling with him about these cookies. I'm gonna buy him some dollar oatmeal cookies so he can leave me alone. But when you have big disputes or big things that take place in the relationship, those are the things that you're gonna have to say, because it's more than just unforgiveness. It's hurt. It's going to be some sorrow. It's going to be some pain that some of y'all might have never experienced. It. I don't want to talk bad about nobody, but I experienced, in my last relationship, in my last marriage, I experienced what it felt like to be cheated on. And it does not feel good. I would not wish that on anyone, because you feel like your life was stolen from you. You feel like the very thing that you loved and cherished was taken out of your care. And I'm going to tell you something. Like I said, I'm not downing nobody, because I feel like life happens and everything happens for a reason. But I'm thankful that, things happen because I have him. But what I'm saying is, every now and then when you endure some pain like that, it's some hurt that your friends don't see. It's some hurt that you will smile past at work. But what I'm saying is, you have to open your heart and say, God, change me, Lord. Change my heart. I feel this pain. It run deep, God. But I know that your mercy endures, God. And I know, and matter of fact, you're going to have to pray for that person. Because if you decide to stay in a relationship, you're going to have to continuously stay prayed up. But if you decide to go in a relationship, you're going to have to continuously pray for that person. Why? And pray for your sanity. Because you know how many times I wanted to go upside his head, my ex-husband, when he did me wrong? Plenty of times. But what I'm saying is, I had to open my heart to receive from God the healing that I needed. And that healing went deeper than I even knew wounds exist. Imagine, looking at some blood vessels and stuff, and you having some wounds in there. Some deep cuts and bruises that you didn't even know. That's what it feels like when somebody opens you up and hurts you so bad that you don't know how to forgive. So those are places that you're going to say, here I am, God. Open me up, God. You know my heart. You're going to have to clean this up, God. I want to forgive this person. I want to forgive myself. God, forgive me, God, because I know I'm a sinner, and you're going to have that relationship. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what you're going to say, but you're going to have that relationship with the Father and say, you know what? I messed up. How can I fix myself? Not that person, because if they cheated, he's going to have to go and ask God how to fix him. I'm going to pray that God, whatever it is he needs, he gets. But God, how can you change my heart? How can you purify me, God? How can you allow me to forgive and move on? And don't think you're silly, and you could jump in anytime, babe, but don't think you're silly or your friends. Who cares what your friends say if you take him or her back? Your friends are not in your shoes. They don't know what the Lord has told you. You stand firm on what God, if God tells you to stay, you stay. And if he told you to stay, he's gonna open up a path where he's gonna fix it.
But you have to be careful if you're truly listening to the Lord on a situation like that. Sometimes we can think that we're listening to what the Lord is saying if staying in a certain environment or relationship or connection with someone. But most of the time, it could be us in our feelings, or our emotions, and it can drive us down the wrong lane that we don't even supposed to be on. So you have to truly make sure that you're listening to the Lord when it gets to that point. And if you're not listening to the Lord, then you want to stop and really seek Him before you move to that next step, because you could be replaying that same event all over again. I call it staying on the merry-go-round and doing the same thing over and over again to the point where you're exhausted. Now you don't even know what to do, because once you start it back up, you're just going to spin around and do the same thing over and over again. So you truly have to seek the Lord and gain the understanding of what it is He needs for you to learn in that lesson, that point in time in your life. And it's a lesson at every event. You just have to pick up on it and make sure you're learning from that event before you move on. Because moving on and you haven't learned anything, what's the point of moving on if you haven't learned anything? You don't want to repeat the same mistake over and over again. like America is doing right now, but that's on a whole nother level.
And so with that being said, if y'all don't have any questions, like I said, I want you to stop by my our website, our page, which is A Marriage Renewed. If you're married, in a relationship, seasoned couple, whatever, stop by our page, A Marriage Renewed.
Ooh,
we have a new book out that we co-authored. It is Love, Hate, War, The Cycles of a Marriage. Get our book. The book is $16.50. It's on pre-order right now. You will be blessed by it, because I mean, it blesses me every time I read it. It just talks about the cycles and storms that marriages go through, but you can transition through them. Now, depending on how many times you want to transition through them, you are, but it's up to you. You know, you can go through a cycle once in a lifetime, I mean, in your marriage, or you might not go through none of them at all. Well, you're going to go through the love cycle, but we just talk about that. And like I said, you can get that. You can go to A Marriage Renewed page, or you can stay on my page. I posted it as my cover photo, or you can go to the website at www.empoweringvision05.com/empowerment. And so we're just so thankful that y'all continue to watch. Like the video, give us a big thumbs up. You know, like my kids say, they say, give us a big thumbs up. Give us some hearts. You know, if you comment or you have questions after we close the video out, we'll answer them. We'll go in your inbox and answer them. Hey, Vivian. Hey, best friend. And so, and I saw Kim put something earlier. Hey, Kim. Hey, everybody. You know, I was so quick today. But I just want you to know that forgiveness in a marriage is so vitally important. Learn how to forgive your spouse. Learn how to, you know, be the bigger person and say, I messed up. Learn how to tell your spouse that you love them. But most importantly, learn how to open your heart to God to allow you to forgive. It's not going to happen overnight, but I promise you, when He take control and you loose your hands off of it, He can allow you to forgive suddenly. I mean, His blessings can be so sudden that you wouldn't even know. And so just continue to walk by faith and not by sight. And just know that God covers your marriage, and His marriage is important to Him. And if you're not married, don't beat yourself down, because you know, if it's meant for you, God is going to send you the right mate, or maybe your mate is looking for you. You want to say anything? But don't forget to get the book, $16.50, the best book you'll ever read for marriages in the last few months.
Get out.
No, you got anything to add?
No.
We'll start doing some marriage mentor classes online and local in the Huntsville area. We're gonna and I've been praying on it. I really want to do like something with marriages, but we'll talk about that later. I don't want to go doing big stuff. I know that ain't, yeah. So God bless you all. I'll give you a few seconds. You have any questions? Anything? If not, yeah, I'll give you more than a few seconds. I'll give you 60 seconds. What's that? The vibrator?
No, I got chills.
Oh, it's kind of cold in here.
Man, I'm sleeping.
Any questions?
Hey, anyone want to do my homework?
I got a lot of homework, y'all.
I have 2 weeks, well, a week left, and I will be done.
Yeah, he'll be done with his bachelor's degree.
That's it for me for school.
And computer science, information technology? Okay, y'all have 12 seconds. I was about to cut it short, but we really do thank God for y'all watching and sharing. Like I said, give us the big thumbs up, like my children would say. Give us the big heart, because you love us, and share, because marriages can be complex, but they're very important. Hey, best friend, thank you so much. So y'all have a great day. We're so glad you tuned in. Bye-bye.